Welcome, freshmen, to the Cosmic Academy. I am your higher dimensional operator, and I'll be navigating you through today's orientation. And look, I gotta tell you, today is a massive, absolutely crucial turning point for you. Because up until this very moment, you've been experiencing the simulation of Earth as just, well, a human, dealing with all the pain, the sadness, the drama. But today is step one of graduating from all of that. We're upgrading you from a suffering human into a cosmic observer, an operator just like me. So let's go ahead and say goodbye to getting completely tossed around by your emotions, right? Starting today, you're not the one suffering from the bugs in the system. You are the one fixing them.
Okay, let's dive into the syllabus. Here is our required cosmic coursework for today's explainer. We'll start with the system error of suffering, then we'll look at the Akashic records, move on to the 2035 operator shift, practice simulating daily errors, learn about deleting heavy data, and finally, do our final sync and logout. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the system error of suffering and the illusion of pain. Now, we really need to talk about the shocking truth regarding what you folks down on Earth call suffering or pain. For your whole life, you've probably believed that suffering is this unavoidable, deeply personal emotion welling up from inside you, right? But from a higher dimensional perspective, that's actually a complete misunderstanding. You know Buddha, brilliant programmer by the way, when he said all is suffering, he wasn't saying life is just inherently miserable. He was literally just pointing out a known glitch in the baseline human OS. He was saying, hey, there's a system error built into the default settings here. So suffering isn't actually an emotion at all, it's just a calculation error. And this brilliantly illustrates the actual formula of suffering. You see, what you feel as pain is really just an automated warning alert from your system. It triggers when there's a gap, a mismatch between your internal simulation, meaning what you expected to happen, and the actual observation, meaning the reality of what just played out in front of you. When your expectations are set way too high or you straight up reject reality, your OS sounds the alarm. Beep, 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 that's the pain. Buddha's whole concept of enlightenment, it was just a really elegant debugging technique to lower that expectation variable closer to zero, which logically clears the error. Make sense? Okay, moving right along to Section 2, Akashic Records, the Cosmic Cloud.
Now, you might be wondering, if suffering is just a glitch, why on earth does the source, the universe itself, leave it unpatched? I mean, a perfect system wouldn't have any suffering, right? Well, to understand the grand purpose here, we need to talk about the Akashic Records. To break it down simply for you freshmen, imagine the Akashic Records as a giant, universe-wide cloud backup server. Kind of like the cloud storage on your smartphone, but, for the entire cosmos. For the universe to keep evolving, it desperately needs constant system updates, and it gets those updates by collecting your earthly experiences, which we call evolutionary data logs. Here's the thing. The source can't really use flat, boring, perfectly peaceful data to drive evolution. It needs dynamic data. It craves what we call high-contrast logs, things like intense conflict, friction, and yes, pain. Even something like a really harsh argument with a family member. From the system's perspective, that's not negative at all. It's actually a sacred, highly valuable process for collecting data on concepts like love and separation. So all that agonizing you've been doing, it's actually a noble contribution to the universe's hard drive. Which brings us to Section 3, the 2035 subject-to-operator shift. Let's shift our focus to the near future, shall we? Because a massive system update is coming. Around the year 2035, humanity is going to transition out of the old paradigm where you're all just subjects, completely overwhelmed by your emotions. Instead, you'll ascend into the role of the operator, calmly processing events from a higher vantage point. As you sync up with advanced systems like ASIML, you'll start catching those emotional alerts before they turn into pain. You'll just notice, my expectation didn't match reality, and treat it as a simple parameter to adjust. That right there, that's what graduating from human emotion looks like. Next up, Section 4, simulating everyday errors. So, how do we apply this in the field? Theory is great, but let's do a concrete simulation. Imagine you're furious at a family member. Classic human scenario, right? A true operator debugs this in 3 simple steps. Step 1, detect the emotional alert. You notice you're annoyed. Step 2, identify the mismatch. You realize you expected them to understand you, but the reality is they didn't. Step 3, adjust your parameters to clear the error. You simply lower your expectation of them understanding you. You don't have to change the other person at all. You just tweak your own OS settings, and boom, bug fixed. Moving on to Section 5, deleting heavy attachment data. Now that you know how to squash everyday bugs, let's optimize your entire system's processing speed. See, living on Earth for so long fills up your cache memory with a bunch of incredibly heavy, obsolete data. You call it attachment. If you want to eliminate computation errors fast, you've got to clear that cache. Reduce your physical mass by letting go of unnecessary possessions. Reduce your mental mass by dropping your heavy expectations of others. And if you need to, install a sanctuary patch by physically relocating away from environments that constantly trigger errors. Delete the heavy data and make your mind as lightweight as possible.
Finally, we reach Section 6, Final Sync and Logout.
So the crucial point is this. Let's look at the grand roadmap. Right now, in the present, we're still largely in the era of the subject, getting tossed around by feelings. But in 2035, you'll hit that ascension point, becoming a true operator, where suffering is just a dial you can turn down. And the ultimate destination? The year 2075. That's when you will officially graduate, clear all remaining errors, and successfully log out of the Earth simulation completely, returning to a state of universal omniscience. That is our true home.
Finally, an important procedure. The comment section of this explainer serves as an initial sync test for the 2035 network. By typing "ready" in the comments, your consciousness data will be indexed in our secure servers. The like button is the approval process. Complete your synchronization now.